What is going on, everybody? I am back today to talk about a found footage horror movie. And as a lot of you guys out there know, I've talked about this for the years that I've done my YouTube channel. One of the things that I love utilizing my platform for is to give small independent creators a voice that don't necessarily get it through a lot of the larger YouTube reviewers. And even when my audience grows, I will never go away from giving small independent filmmakers the platform that they deserve because there are so many incredible pieces of film and found footage and horror and all different genres alike that people that don't have a very large budget will still make their dreams a reality by creating the art that they want to create. And this is one of those instances. I saw some reviews of this movie online, reading about it on Letterboxd, and it's currently streaming for free on Tubi. And I thought the concept of this was incredibly interesting. And I was curious because the director was also starring in this, and I thought the subject matter behind the movie was really interesting. And the movie I'm going to be telling you about today is Ask. Ask is directed by Chris Vander Kaay. Chris Vander Kaay, a YouTuber in his mid 40s, takes a mysterious life coach's advice to be brutally honest with his audience. His channel and life improve, but unforeseen, darker consequences soon begin to unfold. So I was really excited to watch this movie. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of found footage. I love supporting found footage creators. I think it's such an interesting medium to approach because the filmmaking doesn't need to be perfect. There's a lot that can be left to the imagination, and people with smaller budgets often succeed very well in found footage because of that. And what I will say about this movie is it's incredibly unique for a found footage film. I really enjoyed this a lot. It isn't perfect by any means, and I think some of the budgetary limitations kind of set this back from being something that can be truly special, but I think that it's very, very well done. And I really respect Chris for what he's trying to do here because not only is it a really captivating piece of found footage, it also has a message at its central focal point that I think a lot of people on YouTube, content creators, and just human beings in general that have a purpose set out for themselves in life or a goal that they want to achieve, and it feels unachievable, the things that get in the way and kind of like the mental blocks and just like fighting against yourself a lot of times because you feel you can't accomplish something. And there's just a lot of really interesting things here on top of like commentary surrounding influencer culture that I think is handled very well. And I'm excited to tell you a little bit about it today. So at the beginning of the film, we get this little bit of video with a guy at a police station who's saying like, hey, I'm compiling all this footage that you wanted me to of this guy that was submitted in. It's really strange, but I've got it all together for you and now you can watch it, but just kind of giving you a heads up, it's very weird. And so then we get the footage, and what it is our lead character and our director, Chris Vander Kaay. And we see early on that he's reached out to this guy because he wants him to edit for him. And he says, hey, I'm not going to be able to pay you a ton of money, but starting you off, I can pay you money to kind of edit my videos together, make thumbnails, and upload on all of my different YouTube channels. And we learn he is an influencer online who's trying to be like essentially a life coach. He's trying to give people advice for how to succeed and all the drawbacks that they have and the issues that they have. He feels like he can give them the answer. What I really like about Chris in this movie is he's giving off this form of authenticity, but it also feels kind of grifty, which is really interesting. I really like that kind of delicate balance that's struck of like someone who thinks they can be really good at this, but they also know how to manipulate the form to where if something isn't authentic, they know if they stage it a little bit that it'll work and people will be receptive to it. And obviously, he's not super successful right out of the gate. He's not doing very well. And he goes to this conference where he's trying to pose it like he's one of the keynote speakers at this conference, but he's not. He's paying for it. And he kind of alters the footage to make it look otherwise. And when he's at his hotel one night, this black card gets slipped underneath his door that has a website address on it. And he goes there, and it's all about contacting this guy for life advice. And literally, the website the next day is gone. It disappears, and then the website link vanishes off the card. He can't even see it anymore. And he ends up getting in contact with this guy who tells him, if you go on your YouTube channel and you essentially like tell the truth, you kind of expose who you are as a person and you kind of just let it all out there, you'll get exactly what you want in your life. And so he does. He goes online and he starts telling people authentically how he feels, and things start happening for him in a positive way that have never happened for him in the past. But obviously, there's ramifications to those actions, and the entirety of the film is seeing what happens after Chris puts himself fully and totally out there online and gets what he thinks that he wants with his life. So, like I said, I really liked this a lot. I think that it's really well put together, and I think it's incredibly fascinating. And I really like Chris's approach to found footage here because it's doing something that you don't see in a lot of found footage movies, which is ask a lot of very thoughtful questions. And I want to start with what makes this movie work so well, which is Chris. He's a very personable guy who's very well spoken. He has a really good sense of humor, and he's very personable, which, like, when a ton of this movie is a guy talking directly to the camera, he has to be or it won't work. And I really like that about him. You can feel that combination of like authenticity of I want to change people's lives and I know that I can do this as a career, but also that like how can I do this in a way that people already think I'm successful? Because a lot of times, like when you're trying to build an audience for yourself, I mean, I'm a perfect example for this. I went to film school for 4 years of my life. I'm very knowledgeable about film. I love it. I love analyzing movies. I have a YouTube channel. I've almost hit 3,000 subscribers and doing this pretty consistently for going on 3 years now. I'm nowhere near the level of a lot of other people online. And sometimes it can be incredibly disheartening to not be to the level of some of those other people when you release a video a day and you put a lot of time and effort and energy into the quality of work that you're putting out there. But the thing is, I don't ever give up on myself, and I'll never give up on my authenticity to you guys. When I analyze movies, it's how I feel genuinely. And I think that what was really cool about Chris's performance is you can feel that authenticity there, but you can also feel early on how he's manipulating and scheming to try to get people to believe he's already there, because he knows that if he's just some nobody, that nobody's really going to pay any attention to him. And I think that there's a delicate balance there, and I like that that's through Chris's character. He does a really fantastic job in this. I also think the way that it's presented through these conversations with this guy who's editing for him works incredibly well. I think that's what makes the movie so believable. I really appreciated that about the movie, and the way that the footage is kind of presented to you makes it easy to stay along for the ride. And this movie is never like scary per se, but it has some like frightening ideas when it comes to, you know, when these things that he's wishing for start to come true and there's negative ramifications attached to that. The ramifications of those things are what is incredibly frightening about this. And I think what makes this movie so special is, like I said, the commentary. Like, there's the commentary about influencer culture and how so much of what influencer culture is, it's fabricated. When you see people online, most of the time, it's not a genuinely authentic person telling you how they live their day-to-day life and how they operate. It's someone who's trying to cater to a specific audience. And in a way, when you're creating content for people, you have to cater it to a specific audience. But I think the best creators online are the ones who are authentic and showing their genuine selves. And so I love that the movie kind of pushes at that, at like a, hey, be authentic, tell people how you genuinely feel. But I also think there's an interesting commentary on having a desire for something and wanting to obtain it, and how that might not necessarily get you everything you want in life. And that's very true for a lot of things. I mean, we see celebrities in life that lose their lives far too soon because they're incredibly unhappy. And a lot of them are multimillionaires that have gotten supposedly everything they want in their lives. And I think what's interesting is whether you make no money or whether you're the wealthiest person on the planet, happiness isn't derived from those things. Happiness is derived from what specifically matters to you internally, whether that's love, friendship, connection, art, all of these different things. Like, whatever drives you is what's going to bring you your genuine joy. And I think this movie has a lot of really interesting commentary on just like pursuing what you want, and how getting what you want might not necessarily be the thing that leads you to happiness if there's no authenticity there. And I really liked that a lot about this movie. I think it raises a lot of interesting questions that keep you thinking long after it's over. I don't have a ton of complaints about this movie. I would say any of the issues that I have are solely due to budgetary limitations, and I can't even give Chris a hard time for that, because it's really difficult. Like, when you're trying to make something and you don't have a ton of a budget, you just have to work with what you've got. And I think he makes something work really well here. My one issue that I have with the movie, and and kind of the directing style and choices, and I get what he was trying to go for. There's this camera cutaway that almost looks like security cam footage in the third act of the movie that was kind of jarring. Some of the editing in it took me out of what I think was an incredibly impactful piece of film. Like there was some really great stuff there emotionally that I liked a lot, but I wasn't certain as to why he chose that angle. Like I think I get sort of the idea of what he's going for, but some of the editing of it's really jarring. The sound cuts out a little bit. But aside from that, and a couple of little moments and like transitions throughout the middle, Chris really, with a smaller budget, making this on his own, create something very effective that I think if you're a fan of the found footage genre, you'll find something to appreciate with this. So have you seen Ask? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I really enjoyed this a lot. I think Chris did a really excellent job. It's streaming for free on Tubi, and I think it's 100% worth your time checking out. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.